Hello and welcome back to video 4. In today's tutorial, we're going to create a controllable player ship that turns to face your cursor and moves in that direction when you click the left mouse. Along the way, we're going to learn how to detect, import, convert mouse cursor positions into the world space, apply directional thrust, and respond to collisions, all using Unity's physics and endpoint system. Okay, in the hierarchy window, we're going to right click and we're going to create empty and we're going to call this player. On the transform, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move the position down to make sure it's away from the collision objects. So for position X, I'm just going to put 0. For the Y position, so the up and down, I'm going to put -4. And obviously I'm going to leave Z at 0. Okay, now what we want to do is create a triangle. So we're going to right click on the player, go to 2D objects, sprites, click triangle. I'm just going to press enter. I'm going to leave the name as triangle. And then I'm going to right click player again. And I'm going to go to 2D object, sprites, and I will put a square in there and press enter. Now what I'm going to do with this square is selected using the move tool. I'm just going to press F to focus. A bit closer, zoom maybe out. I'm just going to move this down. What you want to try and build, have a go yourself. Let's try and make something that looks a little bit like a rocket. I'm going to add some extra thrusters, so I'm going to add some more triangles. Duplicate that. Okay, so hopefully your spaceship is a lot better than my spaceship and it actually looks something, but it doesn't matter. This is just for the purpose of this tutorial. What I am going to do is, again, without me telling you, see if you can do this, I'm going to select all of my objects within the player. I am going to change the color. Now that your player ship is built, it needs physical properties so it can move and collide with other game objects. In this step, you'll add a rigid body 2D component and collider components to allow the player game object to interact with the physics systems. Because the ship's made of multiple parts, you'll use a compound colliders, separate colliders attached to each child game object. I'll show you what this means. Unity treats the combined collider as one when the physics is applied to the parent. So we're going to select the player and then we're going to add component rigid body 2D. Remember to put the gravity as 0 as well. And then we're going to select all the children or the child objects within that player. And then we're going to add component. And we're going to add the polygon collider 2D. Now if you press play and just test what that looks like. Let me just move the object to see if we can get it to hit. you can see there, obviously it's not no gravity, but it's colliding with the asteroids or the objects. So the next step, you'll create a new C# script called player controller, and we're going to attach it to the player game object. This script's going to handle all of the player's input, movement, and collision logic. The script is a custom component, a set of instructions that we're going to write together that Unity will run during the game. So in our projects window, we are going to right-click scripts. We're going to click create, and we're going to create a new monobehavior script. I'm going to call that player controller. So if we now select the player, add component, and if we type in player controller, you'll see that script's now added. So we'll edit the script over the next several steps to handle the input and the movement. Okay, so let's break down this player controller script so you actually know what the game is doing instead of just hoping for the best like I usually do. Up top, we import Unity Engine and Unity Engine import system. We've got a public variable called thrust force. Then we make a rigid body 2D called RB. RB standing for rigid body. This is what lets our player obey the laws of physics until we decide to break them later because we're developers and that's what we do. In the start method, we grab the rigid body component from the player object. Now the important part is inside update. Every frame we need to check if the left mouse button is being held down. If it is, we figure out where the mouse is in the game world by converting screen coordinates to world coordinates. Next, we calculate the direction from player to mouse, and we normalize it so the direction is always clean unit vector. Next, we calculate the direction from the player to the mouse, and we normalize it so the direction is always a clean unit vector. Then we rotate the player so it faces the direction by setting transform up. And finally, we add force to push the player in that direction. This gives the movement in a nice physics-based feel. And at the bottom, we have on collision enter 2D. What we're saying here is if the player hits anything with a collider, we simply destroy the player object. Perfect for a game where one hit means game over. And that's the whole script. It's simple, clean, and it gives us a more mouse-based movement with physics. You want to go back into Unity. Unity will upload that. If we click play, we should see what that looks like, and we should be able to click and move the rocket that we built around. There we go. So it's working as intended. And there it's disappeared on collision. So what I would recommend, experiment, try and do something different. Change the thrust force. You click on player, look at the script, that variable we created. We could put 6 instead of 1. Experiment with the code, experiment with the inspector window, and see what else you can do. Let's make it more of a fun game. Okay, thanks for watching. I'd love feedback down below. Hopefully I can make them better and better and better as I'm going along. If you do have any questions, again, put that in the comment section and I will get back to you. And look forward to the next video where we're going to add a scoring system. And scoring is going to help provide that feedback and motivation to players. So in that tutorial, we're going to make a basic scoring system to the game that tracks how long the player survives. And we're going to display that score on the screen using Unity's UI toolkit system. Cool. Thanks for watching. Catch you again.